All right, welcome. This is another impromptu. I think this is number 6 now that me and Mark have fired out since Christmas. Building its own little series on its own, isn't it?
It is. I know. It's antique now.
Antico, yeah. We did a live event yesterday, Mark, in Huddersfield. About 120 people came, and just let me turn that sound off there. 120 people turned up at the hotel, and we did another. There were me, Chris, Mark, and
can I just stop you a minute? Your microphone doesn't sound like Dom's microphone.
Marvellous.
I'm sorry. I just figured it out, even though we've been speaking. Yeah, you're on now.
Yeah, it was on the right setting, but there's 2 settings for some weird reason. Anyway, sorry.
Now you sound like
Yeah. Anyway, we're back. So I'll start again. We had a live event yesterday, Sheep Farm Live in Huddersfield at Pennine Manor again. 120 people came. There were me, Chris, Mark Devlin, and John Hamer. There, yeah, wow. It went on till about 9 or 10 o'clock. There, people staying over Friday and Saturday. Hopefully everyone had a good time. Too many people to mention names and all that type of stuff. Another good day. So that's the second one we've had there in this year.
Amazing.
We're doing one at the Barnyard Comedy Club in
London.
Yeah. In a few weeks. That's behind you now.
I was actually thinking about flying over, and I thought it's only Dom.
Yeah, fuck him.
Exactly. No, I was like thinking, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, see my daughter and see you. And anyway, one day I'll catch one of your beautiful events. But you sometimes do you put it on live sometimes, don't you?
We haven't done yet, but I did do last time when we did a bit of I did Impromtu live. I used my laptop, and I'm hoping at some point we'll beam it live from there.
Yeah, again, you and Mark were having a chat about
that's right, yeah.
And I said, have you put some weight on?
You called me a fat bastard. Only you can get away with that. Yeah. But yeah, so, it was a great event. Anyway, another thing yesterday when we had our release for our latest podcast out, people were putting comments on saying I hadn't sent an email out. Well, I actually had. But MailChimp decided to suspend our account.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah. So I got a message like this, which is
I've just when you said that, Dom, I've just got an account issues, terms of service violation, critical. Just as you said that.
From what?
On my screen.
Yeah, I've just put that on. Yeah, I've just put it on.
All right, it's you. I thought it was me.
No. This is what we.
I'm always getting strikes. You see, I'm like, oh no.
No. So we basically got a strike like you would from YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, we got a strike from MailChimp for sending an email out. The only thing I can presume it because we were talking to Gareth Ike yesterday, and they've linked the only thing in the email it said was Gareth's name and a link to his website. So there was no description. I'm actually careful to put a description in, and it didn't even get sent out. It was banned before it actually got sent out.
Yeah, anything with the name Ike in it, David, I think he's actually proud of it. He's been banned from over 30 countries in the world for speaking out against the truth.
The Matrix.
And yeah, that's right.
I mean, we'll talk about that in a bit because we're a good subject we were chatting about earlier on the phone, wasn't it? Anyway, I'll bring it up. It's the reason that I wanted to have a chat about. But these remind me of the strikes I used to get on YouTube during 2020. I thought we got over that thing.
I've just had one last week.
Yeah, account issue. Abuse prevention system Omnivore has detected an action content in your account that may be in violation of our acceptable use policy. Very Chinese Communist Party. And when you go through, there is no explanation as to why, anything. You know,
and that's all by design.
Yeah, there's no feedback. or anything. It's a compliance team, right? So I'm afraid I'm going to fuck these lot off, this system off, because
which one?
MailChimp.
Oh yeah, because I came off it I came off it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and that they're a rip off as well. They were charging me $500 a month.
Who are you using now, Mark?
It's called MailJet.
Yeah. Weirdly, I opened an account with them about an hour ago. Yeah. And they wouldn't open an account for me as soon as I put my website in. We've been turned down by MailJet. Yeah. So we're marked because we had a chat with Mr. Ike.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Davy's never been on my show, and I've asked him to come on. Maybe Spirit wouldn't allow it because I would actually lose my my channel completely, which would actually gut me.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a good thing.
I've said to you need to be careful with yours because yours is used for different. I know. Sometimes we get angry. This channel, being blunt, I don't really care, to be honest with you. I do. No, that's a bit of an over exaggeration.
I know what you mean.
I'm not tied to YouTube, because there's no. It's nice to be able to do stuff like this, but if they turned it off, I'd just open another account and be able to do it anyway. So it wouldn't have that much of an effect, really. I don't think. But you know, anyway,
I'm tied to YouTube, but I still. The way I stick my finger up is by doing and saying what I say. But you're right, I shouldn't, because it's really like it brings so much business. So many people love the crystals and come to the website, and you know, I know everybody tells me not to, but I can't help myself. It's weird.
Yeah,
what's wrong with me?
When you get that itch, you've got to not do it.
You've got to scratch it.
Yeah, you've got to scratch that itch, man.
Put some blend of.
But it goes to show what we're up against, really, and that sometimes you're over the target before you even know it. Because if they're that worried about, I don't know how many people watch, 98 people watching this, or 100 people. If they're that concerned about 100 people watching something, then you know they're really. The system isn't that good, is it? Isn't that strong? If that's the foundation.
No, I mean, you look at Brand. I mean, he's flying high and he's talking what we talk about. So is Candice Owens, and so is Tucker Carlson, and all of these. You know what I mean? I
would say a lot of them, though, Mark. There is another side to that, and I'm not sticking up for any of them, by the way.
No.
But you've heard the phrase "too big to fall," and I think if they turn somebody off like that, it brings a lot of awareness to. If they turn our channels off, there's nobody gonna.
What about Ike? I mean, he was massive.
Yeah.
I mean, his following is huge. They switched him straight off because I believe that those that speak the truth get just switched off straight away. And like, I don't know how I've managed to stay on, because
I'd say difference
strikes in the past 5 years. I've had more. I've skipped and danced and ballet danced around the strikes.
Yeah. Well, the strange thing is, a few months ago, they wiped my strikes. It was odd. So when you get people watching this probably don't know, but when you've got a YouTube channel, your first strike's like a freebie, innit? You get a warning. The first one you ever get is a warning. If you do it again, they're going to ban you for 7 days.
Oh, right. Yeah, my last one, they banned me for 7 days. My first
I don't mean it that one. You get a free
ever one.
Yeah, your first ever one. I'll just try and share this.
Things have changed now, though, Dom. If you read the content provided now about strikes, it's so you just don't understand what it means. No. it just sends you all over the place.
Yeah,
can't work any of it out, but that's all by design.
Yes.
And you can't talk to nobody.
Oh no, you can't talk to anybody
because they're a company that's making very little money, so they can't really afford to have anybody on.
Just let me show this dashboard here. Hang on a minute. 1 sec. Let me share this screen. Just make people aware. I'll tell you why, because somebody said to me the other day, right. Can everyone see that screen? Let me turn this chat off and then it'll make it bigger. Wait a minute. Right. So this is the back end of YouTube where you load all your stuff. It's called YouTube Studio. And if you see at the top there, I don't know if you can see where my mouse is going around there, where it says channel violations. Well, that channel violation there, right? That is an active community guideline strike. All right. Now, where did it say I received that? I received that on the 14th of October, 2024.
Right.
Now, I've had this YouTube channel since early 2021 when my first one got turned off. And I got a strike more or less straight away. So I've had that warning, not a strike, but a warning since 2021. Now, the first I knew that had been wiped, the warning from 2021, was when I got this one.
Right.
Right? That stays on. So you're always going to have that warning, but they wiped my warning.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. Very weird. I've heard of people's YouTube channels that have been banned coming back on again. I've heard, they've been struck off, deleted, and then they've come back on.
That's what happened to me on Facebook.
Right.
They basically shut me out, couldn't get back into it for many years. And then one day I thought, I wonder if I could get back into it. And they let me back in after years.
But yeah, anyway, so MailChimp now are doing a similar thing to what YouTube were doing.
I wonder who owns them. It doesn't matter.
Intuit owns them.
It doesn't matter though, does it? The government owns them.
Whoever has the licensing owns them. And the guideline strikes on YouTube are the violations, if you like. They use all these words like community guideline strike, but it's not a community because you can't speak to somebody. If it were a community, you better go knock on the door or ring them up. The community means that everybody's working together, but we're not working together because we can't even speak to anybody.
Exactly.
There is nobody's going to tell me. I'll tell you on MailChimp. It'd be interesting to see what they say. Nobody will say why we banned that. They'll just say it's because of that line in community guidelines. You violated something. What's the violation? They won't tell you.
No. So then you won't know what to do next time to actually resolve that and be careful of it. But they don't care. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't care. Let me see if
I can they'll only care if everybody switched off in the night. If everybody said, right, we're all turning off, then they'd start typing away saying, shit, we need to resolve this straight away.
Yeah.
But because everybody just...
Because we don't.
Not exactly. That's the problem. And that's why the world will always be run by evil, because we will not come together in compliance and say no more. It won't happen.
And in my opinion. And the interest, a bit like PayPal. I've noticed that PayPal have rebranded. I remember going back into 2020 when they were turning people off.
Yeah.
And they destroyed a business of mine in 2017 by basically asking to hold the money back for 6 months.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And e-commerce just destroyed the business.
Totally.
And during 2020 when they turned ours off on Sheep Farm. But they won't even let you delete the account, what PayPal.
No, I know. You can't.
I still get emails from them,
There's loads of accounts you can't, but like you try and delete a bank account here in Spain, forget it. It's not going to happen. You can try as much as you want, but it just won't happen. So they like the numbers, you see.
They like the numbers. They like still having you on as a number, but they don't want you to use that account.
No, but my payments through my markbayerski.com are through two processors, which is PayPal and Stripe. So I've never had any grief at all with any of them ever. So touch wood, to go through that must be a pain in the ass and terrible because it's like you lose your income.
Yes,
they're just Nazis doing that. They're just evil people.
So I mean, again, in the background of doing all these podcasts, we pay, I don't know what it is to MailChimp, 80 quid a month. In the scheme of things, it's probably...
I pay 500 a month.
Yeah, you're sending more emails out than me, but what I mean is 80 quid a month to these, they don't care. It's the first time that businesses, it's a bit like, when you used to go to a nightclub and you were a bit young and they used to turn you down.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, where they're willing to turn away business. There's not many times in history, I mean, 2020 was probably one of the starts where they're willing to turn away business.
Totally. I think they make more money on selling your information, to be fair. And I mean, you imagine how many people are wanting to buy that information off MailChimp. You imagine how many companies, apparently there's actually sites that you go to and they offer, whatever it might be, people into spirituality. So they can take all that information and sell it, and they do. Even though it says, like, like, if I was to do that, which I wouldn't, I'd be put in prison for 10 years.
Yes.
But for some reason, these monsters can get away with it. No problem. They get away with it.
Yes. Yeah. And it is part of the unraveling. A bit like, I go back a few sentences or whatever, a few minutes back from what you said. If we targeted one company, I'll use MailChimp as an example, and said, fuck them, we're not using them, right? It wouldn't take a lot of people to actually bring it to its knees.
I think that's David Icke's point since I ever heard him first speak. This non-compliance is the answer to everything, which is absolutely right. But the problem is humanity doesn't comply.
You don't even have to leave the house to do that, though.
No, exactly.
You have to march with placards or
you don't.
March up and down.
And there is no point marching. The only way is saying, fuck it, we're not doing it no more. Yeah. That's it. It's finished. Yeah. It's ended.
I'll tell you now, in Britain, if 1 million people said no to Netflix, they'd know. They would know. You know what I mean by that is they would start making changes.
Oh, yeah, they'll make changes to bring you back again.
Yes, and then they slowly twist you around again.
Exactly, and it'll come back again. Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Yeah. Basically, corporations are nothing more than crooks. That's all they are. They're not out for doing good, wanting to, just
when we say corporations here, we're on about Barclays Bank or massive organisations. Yeah. We're not on about Joe Bloggs as cafe or something like that,
No. Big corporations, the ones that used to be on the streets selling drugs, and now they become legal, and they're all good and fantastic now.
Well, it's strange. It's in Boots. Boots? No, Marks and Spencer. Came everyone's favourite shop. Yeah. But Marks and Spencer's was started by Zionists.
Yeah.
That basically funded Israel.
You have to be careful what you say about that. Totally. Now that's I think one of the reasons why Ike got taken straight down off everything is because he spoke about against those, not against the Jews. It's nothing to do with.
No, it isn't. No. It's a Zionist.
Frankists. When you go deeper.
Somebody just said use Ghost as Ghost as your email service. I'll look them up. Thank you, Rajesh.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. I've tried to look for it, but it's just never see it.
Just a ghost, Matt.
You know what I mean?
Ghost mail, it's called. Who are you going to call?
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get round it eventually. We figure it out. But eventually, Dom, I think it's going to come to all of us to a point where what they want is to be able to stop all podcasters, stop everybody from speaking. And, basically, you can only talk about the system, system program.
How great it is as well.
Hey?
How great it is. It reminds me, I wish I'd have downloaded it, actually. The first Lego movie my kids were watching going back 10 or 15 years ago, when the song on there was everything is awesome, everything, and it was like a just repetitive song, and they're all Lego pieces marching up and down.
MK Ultra.
MK. That's what that is, isn't it? In fact, I've got a couple of good videos lined up for another podcast I'll be doing this week, but might as well play a couple of them here. One's an old Aldous Huxley one that he's talking about where tech is. You're talking, right, this is the early 60s, probably 61, 62, because he died in 63. But just listen to what he's got to say.
In your Brave New World Revisited, which was published about 2 years ago, you did claim that much of what you forecast had come true. I mean, for example, the use of drugs and this instance of people having their thoughts directed while they're asleep through music being played or messages being played through their pillows and so on. I mean, in which societies do you think that most of what you forecast has mostly come true? I mean, is it in America, Britain, Russia, China?
Well, it seems to me this is not so much You can't say that it's a question of national peculiarities or even entirely of political peculiarities. I mean, I think when the technological and applied scientific means are developed, they just tend to be used. I mean, I think one can say that the whole history of recent times in relation to science and technology shows that if you plant the seed of applied science or technology, it proceeds to grow, and it grows according to the laws of its own being. And the laws of its being are not necessarily the same as the laws of our being. I mean, hence this sense which so many people have, and which I think one sees in so many societies, this sense that man is being subjected to his own inventions, that he is now the victim of his own technology and the victim of his own applied science, instead of being in control of it.
How could he be in control of it?
Well, this is the problem. I mean, I think this is perhaps one of the major problems of our time. How do we make use of this thing? I mean, after all, this was stated in the Gospel. Man, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. And in the same way, technology was made for man and not man for technology. But unfortunately, the development of recent social and scientific history has created a world in which man seems to be made for technology rather than the other way round.
So, I mean, he's talking the stuff that's happening now.
Absolutely.
Scary man.
Yeah, what I found fascinating listening to him, first of all, there was a lot of blinking going on, which to me is a very MK Ultra thing straight away. So I think he's probably got handlers and all sorts. But point being is, when he was speaking, I was thinking about life and energy and frequency and everything that we create. He says it takes on a life of its own, but I actually think that it doesn't. I think there's a lot of energy applied to it by the dark energy forces, evil, attachment, and it actually boosts the energy. It actually strengthens it and makes it more powerful. Why is it that somebody can say something and say the same thing in a different country and it means nothing, and then here it means something? There's something that is attached to humanity, which I believe is evil, that strengthens. It's like a foghorn. And when they say these things, when it say it takes a life of its own, I think it's to do with energy. That's my feeling anyway behind all of that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it. I know what you're getting at. It's like it adds weight to the conversation and feeds it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating when you look into it, Dom.
It's fascinating, but I know you might be thinking, where's the, not you, but where's the link to MailChimp and what they've just done? But that is the part, you're inputting your data and feeding this machine constantly, going back to Mark's corporations, you know, whether you go to a bank. I mean, look at banking now. If you watch a banking advert now, it's people walking into a store. Them stores don't even exist. So all the new banking adverts are about you sitting with somebody and telling them about your banking needs.
Yes.
That doesn't exist anymore. So they're basically lying to you. And also, you don't even put money in the bank anymore. It either gets paid direct into the bank. You don't even have that transactional relationship with that bank anymore.
Remember when we used to go every week to put money in banks so that we had enough money for our mortgage or our lease?
Well, you know, Matt, every Friday, business people, they go in with the money they'd taken to the bank in Marsh, in Huddersfield, HSBC or whatever it were at that time, Barclays Bank, would go in and deposit their money in that bank. And those people working in that bank would all be living within a 3, 4, 5 mile radius of probably not 5 miles, 2 or 3 mile radius of that bank, that particular bank.
Yeah, I knew all the assistants' names, and they were like friends. It was amazing. I knew the bank manager like my best mate in Home Firth, actually. Long ginger hair, bank manager, and it was just great. What do you want, Mark?
Yeah,
I need to borrow some money. How much do you need? I need $2,000. Okay, go on. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I know. But you'd have a conversation with these people, and now you can't convert. Like going back to MailChimp again, you've violated some terms and conditions. I mean, them words alone try and make it like it's something it isn't. You basically put someone's name on there by the sound of things that they don't like anymore. They don't want you to have that. Another thing I noticed in some of the comments that we had when I released that podcast, a few people been slightly disparaging about Gareth Ike and the Ikes in particular. I mean, I don't know the guys. I mean, I had a great chat with Gareth. I thought it was great. I've never heard him say anything that I don't really agree with, so I don't really know where.
He goes on Richie Allen radio show quite a lot, does Gareth, and David used to go on quite a lot, and now he's come back on again. So they're busy lads, and they're doing their own thing. And there's Iconic. I don't watch anything like Iconic. I just do my own thing. And what made you have him on? What was the thought about having him on?
Well, there was no thought, because what generally happens with guests, Mark, apart from yourself, who I've known for a long time, is that, for instance, John Hamer was doing something with Gareth. He went on Gareth's Iconic.
Yeah, so that's how it happened.
And that's how it happened.
Yeah, for sure. Normally how it happens, eh?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. And there were no real forethought. We don't put a lot of forethought into guests. Guests either contact us through someone else.
What are people saying?
Well, I don't know that. Obviously, because he's been banned in 30 countries, somebody said that's just a shill. I mean, we've been called all this stuff. You and me and Chris been called shills, and
I don't even know what a shill is.
No, Don. I don't know what the actor.
I hear it said, but I don't know what. Is there a list of This is why he's a shill. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, right, I get it. I've never understood it. All I've heard is that anybody just shouts the word shill. Anybody, like, to me...
You're guilty because we've said it type of thing, not because you are.
I listen to Candice Owens sometimes, because people send me a link. I listen to Tucker Carlson sometimes because he sends me a link. Friends send me a link. People send me a link about loads of people, and I'll watch. And to be fair, I get bored pretty quick.
Yeah, I do as well.
Because I've heard this 20 years ago. Why am I listening? Why are you sending me stuff that we talked about 20 years ago? It isn't information. It's old story and news. The only reason why it's popular is because those that don't understand what we've learned over 20 years find it interesting. So it's like I'm bored with that kind of thing. It doesn't appeal to me. But
the headlines,
as David Icke being a shill, I mean, I know he's successful. He sells books. He fills out stadiums.
Used to do. He's not allowed now.
Well, no, but I mean, I've been to a few of his shows and listened to him. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with, and a lot of things that I thought, wow, that's interesting. I came away, and even my worst enemy, which I haven't got, I'll always listen because there might be something interesting there that I'll like, okay, let me just ponder on that. Let me think about it. Let me close my eyes.
It's like this comment here, right? I personally don't trust Richie Allen or the Ikes. I don't trust... Trust's a weird word, right? Yeah. Because, right, most of you people in the chat don't know me and don't know Mark. We're on here, but you don't really know us. I know Mark. I've known him for 30-odd years, right? So I couldn't personally say I could trust Mark because I know him, right?
You've never lent me no money, though.
I don't trust you. No, but what I'm trying to get at is trust's an overused word. I don't trust anybody I don't know. So why would I? It's a point. It's not about trust. Are there them people saying or doing anything that there's lines of disagreement in there. If you disagree about something that's not going to change your life, then it's not a problem. It's just a disagreement over a minor issue. If you disagree about whether you should take the jab or not, that's a big issue, right? That's a major issue, and you might not come back from it. I've not heard anything that these guys, both of these people, have said that I think that I can't listen to them because of that. I mean, I don't particularly agree with the Queen's a lizard, but that's neither here nor there to me. I don't really care because she might be, or might have been. It's a strange argument. I think it's playing right into. Personally, I think it's playing right into the hands of what the controllers want. They want everybody fighting. They want
Well,
everybody. I don't really care because I just do my own thing.
Everybody's fighting. This phone is now sent us crazy. The phone is now, somebody was saying the other day, I don't understand, Mark. Time is just going so fast. And I'm like, it's not time, it's you. We're all going so fast because the computer's making us go fast, like fast. It's nothing to do with time. But I mean, how long have I known Richie Allen for? I've known him. I listened to him when I went to Thailand. And the first show I think I ever heard is when he had this Luciferian Satanist who used to eat baby parts and then transitioned into God, right? And I listened to this horrific thing, and I listened to. No, I actually heard him on talk radio prior to that. But anyway, I support Richie. I know his partner really well. We're good friends. And Richie, I know him quite well. We sometimes talk now and again. He's always too busy, to be fair. He's always, full on with his job because he's the only one to work in that place where he's at, which I kind of respect very much. I support the show. The reason why I support the show is because I feel like it's mine. I feel like it's mine. And I listen to it nearly every night. And I listen to everybody who's on the show. And he brings people on that don't get a voice normally. And like Kate Shimriani, he didn't care about her at one time. Now she's on the show. So it's like, it's not like he's hit like it's me. Sometimes if I don't like somebody, I don't want to know. Whereas he has the strength to say, no, let's get them on. So I think,
but I mean, Rich is a proper radio presenter, isn't it? That's why
a shill would what you'd have to be, what Richie would have to be to become a shill, because everything that he does for me is like, well, I think he's a good radio host.
Yeah,
I like it. Sometimes. He's brilliant. Sometimes some days I'll send him a message, say that show was fucking brilliant, and thanks for getting this person on. So I don't know. I'd love somebody to say to me, this is what a shill is. This is what a shill is. So David Icke's been banned from 30 countries. Now, I think we know why he was banned, because he was speaking out against the people who were being killed in Gaza.
Well, it's several reasons. Gareth were explaining it was during 2022. He was due to go to the Netherlands for a talk, and he was speaking out about the Israel, yeah. But the actual organisation was organised by a guy who was Jewish himself.
Exactly.
And it got now. Look, I've never watched David. I've never been to one of his things. I've never read a book of his. So Chris has, right? Chris has been to one of his shows years and years ago.
Chris,
really? And I know a lot of people have said that David Icke woke them up. So I don't understand. For me, if he's part of an organisation, it's a bad plan because he's waking everybody up, and they're all talking about the stuff we're talking about. So that means everybody in the chat and everybody else is part of the plan as well.
I have no idea. I don't understand the word shill, and nobody's ever really.
Well, these are big shill mics, so you must understand them.
Mine's a little bit thinner than yours. Yeah. Yours is a little bit chunky around the waist.
It's a strange phenomenon, and I think it is part of a plan to split, like somebody said in the chat, divide and conquer. It is about splitting. Also, if your favourite colour's green, right, you buy green things. So you might not like certain podcasts or presentations, so you don't listen to them, do you? Don't mean to say these people are shills or whatever. You just don't like that person. You don't like that presentation or whatever.
Yeah, when I listen to a conversation, I'm listening to it in multi-levels. I'm trying to figure out what the person's saying, who they are, and where they stand in that energy. So if I'm listening to somebody like Candice Owens, I'm listening to somebody who's really trying to be honest and trying to expose the Macron and his husband, and she's
Billy Big Bollocks.
But the person who's just been killed, right? which was Macron's wife's facial doctor, that like things like that. This to me is all hype. It's showing bread and circuses, and we jump on board, and now it's like, what's next? And I feel like everything is all about excitement now. Everything's about breaking news. Everything's about, we're going to have a fight in the White House lawn, and everything's like
a headline. Everything's a headline, a dramatic headline.
What are you saying though? What are you trying to what are we trying to do? What are you trying? And like, I try and figure out who people are and where they are. And I do get a little bit frustrated at times, but then I have to think to myself that there are people that don't know anything about what we talk about. And who am I to say that
I would say
18-year-old wants to know these things now, so they will learn from.
We were talking last time about our people sort of waking up. I hate that phrase, but there are a lot of new people that have woken up during 2020. There's no doubt about that, right? Whether it's more or less than normal, we'll never know because nobody's doing a count. But they're looking at new information, and I suppose people like Candice Owens, it is new information for them.
Yeah,
this type of thing for you or the people in the chat. It's not new information. They've been listening to that since whatever, before 9/11 or whatever it was, right? And so to me, I can't listen to Candice Owens not because I don't like the woman, simply because, like you said, I don't find it interesting because it's stuff that we've spoke about for years.
Yeah. When somebody sends me a link, said, listen to this, I'm like, I want to send them a message back saying, why are you sending it, mate? We already know all of this. We understand all of this. Where are we going?
Yes. Yeah.
What is it? You know what, Dom? I've actually come to a point in my life now where I think, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck everything, because really we've tried everything and nothing's really working.
Well, I think you do come to that point, Mark. I think I do this now because, for want of a better word, enjoy the research, if you like, and finding out new things.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not doing it to change anybody's mindset. I'm just doing it to dig people. I've got no interest in waking my neighbour up or whatever, a friend up or anything like that. No interest whatsoever. If they come to me, I'll have a conversation with them, but I'm not going out my way to do it anymore.
Totally agree. Because I think we all have to come to terms with that as well.
Yes. And I know you've been like that, but I've been like that for quite a while now, quite a few years. In fact, 2020 started me off on that because I thought people were going to realise what was going on, and they didn't. I thought this was going to be so obvious. And when the pushback started, and you started getting grief from neighbours and things like that, and in a way, they were calling you a shill, right, for not believing what the government were telling you. And then when you start podcasts up, the people that have listened to you, some of them are. It's a strange scenario that during 2020, when everybody were on side with the anti-lockdown type of thing, and then after a couple of years, when all that sort of settles back down again, you've got the same group of people. Now they're all arguing toss about, you've got Tommy Robinson crew. They were all in anti-lockdown. You've got other people that were maybe some people who were more religious than the normal conspiracy theorists, let's just say. All of these people now were in this milieu of anti-lockdowns and stuff.
Yes.
Now are arguing toss because they realise that people who were spotted by Tommy Robinson are all funded by Israel. Yeah. Or I'm not religious. Well, if you're not religious, that means you're not a proper truther. What I'm trying to say is all of a sudden that causes friction within a group of people that were together for a few years.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. I like, for me, God save us from religion and politics. That's what I keep saying that every day, because all I see is we are so divorced from one another because of those two issues.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. It really is, Dom.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I find it quite sad, very sad that we have to resort to, if you don't know someone, right, and you haven't not researched them, if somebody came to, say, my house, you'd see what I did on a daily. I mean, Jacko's in the chat. You know, I've known him nearly as long as you, Mark.
Yeah.
You know what you do on a daily basis. You know, for instance, I'll use Dom Jolly as a prime example. In his mad rant of a video that he did last summer, he basically said that I'd said he were an MI6 agent, and he went, "Ha ha! If you knew who I were, you wouldn't say that." But he missed the point totally. I never said that. What I said is his family were. Yeah. His grandmas and blah blah blah, but he's not interested in that. You see, he's interested in a headline. You know,
exactly what I was saying about all the podcasters.
Yes, they're interested in a headline and a dramatic headline. They're interested in lifting a rock and looking underneath it and seeing all this information. He were pissed off because we'd found his family tree.
Yeah,
I wish somebody'd find my family tree. I'd be really happy.
Yeah, unless you've got some skeletons in your grave, then maybe you might not be.
But that's my family. It's not me, is it?
Yeah, exactly. But then some people don't see it like that, Dom. Some people see protecting of the family secrets are the most important thing that they would kill for.
Yes. Yeah.
Ask Bill Gates.
Yeah. Yeah. Why has he got a few secrets, Mark?
I don't think so. I think his dad was wonderful.
Yeah, brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood was like a walk in the park.
We love a bit of eugenics.
Yeah, we do. Talking of that, I'm going to play this other video. This guy, right? I don't know if you've seen this. If I've played you this video before, let me pull it up. What am I doing here? Video storage. So this guy is Sir Edward Humphrey Tyrrell Wakefield, and he was Dominic Cummings, or is Dominic Cummings's father-in-law. And he's talking about how the elites... Can you remember that video you played, that John Carter video?
Yeah.
I might play it again, actually. It was a good video.
Did you like it? I couldn't hear it, Dom. That was the problem.
Yeah. It's a good video, is that.
Really? Have you watched the film?
No, I haven't watched the film, no.
You should watch it because, I mean...
Don't get time to watch out, Mark.
No, I know. You're a busy guy. I get it.
Yeah. Don't get time to watch out. Anyway, what this guy's talking to a load of what he classes peasants, telling them why they can't breed with the elites. Yeah.
The quality is everything, but in general, to be elitist, I think the quality climbs up the tree of life, and therefore, in general, high things in the tree of life have quality and have skills, and they get wonderful degrees at university, and if they marry each other, that gets them better again.
So you wouldn't have minded if one of your children had met someone from a lower socio-economic group who was intelligent and talented and...
Intelligence and talent is lovely, but I want parents and grandparents who've had hands-on success, running their battles well and proving they're wonderful, because one is the subject of one's genes, and I think I like the idea of them being successful genes and winning through to successful puppies.
Some things haven't been in genes though, have they? Like there's been some outstanding people and geniuses who've been like first generation.
No, they aren't. Very few first generation geniuses.
Very few, but there's still few.
Like which?
Would they have been allowed?
Of course there are.
You're saying very few.
Normally you think of Bertrand Russell, for instance. Okay, ancient family, Dukes of Bedford, Wittgenstein, ancient family.
I just want to punch him. If I was there, I'd say, give me that. I would take that glass of blood off him and I'd punch him right in his face.
I knew you'd like him, Mac. Bertrand Russell, Dukes of Bedford. Do you know what else? Do you know what else they held the dukedoms? The Dukes of Tavistock.
Wow.
Bertrand Russell. Yeah.
Wow.
They were the Dukes of Tavistock. You can't make this shit up if you want to, Mark, can you?
Oh. Wow. Yeah, that just shows the elitist mindset.
Yes.
The way they see others. Basically, you know, we can talk to the peasants, but that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably didn't. He probably didn't even want to be in that room with those peasants.
No. He instantly felt superior, didn't he? You could tell he was. He felt superior.
Yeah, and in his mind, and in his belief system, he is superior. That is who he is. That's what these elitists are, and that there is no compassion, there's no empathy, there's no love, there's no soul. They are just this automaton that sees themselves as the chosen ones. Bit like Zionists almost, sorry to say, but it's that kind of, I mean, I don't like labeling anybody anything. I just see these people as non-spirited people like you and I, where we come from the spirit world. They come from a whole different place, and they're a different energy inside their body. They're a different breed as spirit goes. And they're not good. They're not good.
Where would you say they come from? Some would say hell, but where is it?
There is no hell. There is no hell per se. There is like when we talk about hell, we talk about religion, heaven and hell. But I don't believe there's no hell. I think if there's a closest place to hell, it's here. We're living it now. This is the closest place to hell, I would say, right now. And I think that when you look across the stars and you look at many different types of religion, you look at like Mormonism. If you look at that, and Joseph Smith, when he got his walk in the forest, and all of a sudden he was told by Jesus and God, and then there was another angel who came and helped him. They explained to him, and he worked with stones as well. Did you know that? Crystals. He worked with crystals. Back then, back in the 18th century, I don't know if you guys know, but crystals were used by a lot of these people who used to actually look for, they used to look for treasure. Do you know they used to hunt for buried treasure? And they used to have like philosopher's stones. They used to have these stones, crystals or stones, and they used to hold them, and all of a sudden it used to open them up to whatever, and that's basically how Joseph Smith brought out the Book of Mormon, in and amongst everything else he brought into it. But fascinating how they explain that there are 3 planets, and as if I remember rightly, because I went to the Mormon church for a while because my sister was a Mormon, or is a Mormon, and there's three planets, right? And God lives on planet 1, and God is married, and God is not a being, is a human. And what God did was he wanted to send his children to planet Earth. So we all came down as spirit beings, and he created these bodies for us. And inside the bodies are spirits. So this is kind of like the Mormon take on it. But interestingly enough, there's three planets. And however you behave in this lifetime, let's say if you get married and you have a family and you're good, then you go to where God is. If you don't get married or something like that, you might go to planet 2. Or if you didn't do as well as you should have done, you go to planet 3. And you come down here to learn. It's a learning experience. So that just gives you an idea of Mormonism to the roots of how it started. There's a lot more to it, but it's fascinating when you realize that there is truth in a lot of things. And I believe that there's a lot of people who believe that we come from different parts of this cosmos, Saturn, all over the place. I believe, my feeling is that the spirit is different from a planet, although we do energetically belong to certain planets by way of home in an energetic way, like a sea or an ocean. And I think there's loads of them across this universe, which is ever expanding. There's thousands of different types of souls that come into this planet world in these bodysuits. So I don't say to people, oh, that's a monster and we are good. No, there's loads of different spirits that come from lots of different parts of this cosmos. And that's one thing that's never talked about, and nobody will ever talk about it, because then it becomes the real truth. The truth is that we are not all the same. We're just bodies, but what's inside them, and know them by their actions, is what you need to know now. That's what I say.
Yeah. And this Seb here, I don't know if it's his real name, Seb Dangerfield, not one of them, the parasites, ever invented, produced or contributed so much as a toothpick to the betterment of humanity.
Great point. It's a great point.
And they haven't.
They steal off people who are the peasants who come up with these beautiful ideas because they're of consciousness and they channel a frequency and energy that is a guidance towards helping. And what they do is they come along and they steal, like Musk steals everybody's. He invented not always a genius. No, he steals, right? And then
genius means steals,
and then he messes with it and changes it, so then it becomes not so good. And the actual, just like every app has been stolen from somebody who came up with a great idea. They steal it to make money, to be greedy, or to steal, or to hurt, or to cause pain. But that person is absolutely right. No elite, no monster has ever created anything. All they do is destroy and steal.
That's I remember. True. Yeah, I mean, what of the medical fraternity or the pharmaceutical fraternity cured in the last 50 years? What illness or disease have they actually cured?
Nothing. But then again, Dom, the pharmaceutical industry has been hijacked. There are good people in there that, like, if you fell over now and broke your leg, you would want something to help you. You'd want some morphine. You'd scream for it. But that's not what we're talking about.
No, we're not.
We're talking about monsters who's hijacked it and now are putting stuff into these poisons and causing pain and issue to people. Pain and issue forever because they're addicted to it. You think that addiction isn't put there? Come on, guys.
Yeah. I mean, everybody in the chat will know what we're talking about. I know we're selling to the converted, so to speak, but and again, but it comes back down to, we started talking about MailChimp, basically suspending a sheep farm account that sends out to a few hundred people, not millions of people like the BBC. The BBC, you never hear BBC's email accounts being shut down now. And they've got employees working for them who have been famously accused and some arrested and locked up of paedophilia.
Totally.
And you never hear of them being violating MailChimp's usage or YouTube's or anything like that.
Did you hear the story about the African? I don't know whether he's a president or whether whoever he is, but I don't know whether this was a real. Somebody in the chat might be able to confirm this, but apparently this was going on for, I think, 6 months, and they were trying to get all these guys who sell gold, all these big corporations that have gold mines. They've been getting away with murder. They've been employing child labor in the gold mines, right? They've been paying taxes as little as 2% and paying whoever it is maybe $10 million and getting away with $500 million in tax, rebates and stuff, all this. And apparently a load of them got arrested and got thrown into prison. Some of the biggest names, but I don't know whether this is real or not, but they all got thrown into prison, and the African place have taken back the mines for themselves, and they said enough is enough. I don't know if this is true. If anybody can verify that.
Well, the biggest mining company is a British company called Glencore,
right?
Which and then there's two in the top 10 which are British, and one of them people might have heard of, Rio Tinto. That's a huge one. That's an Anglo-Australian British.
There's a French one as well. There's massive, but they're huge. They make trillions of dollars a year. They bring out hundreds of tons of gold every year, and they smuggle it. They either smuggle it and say that there's only a little bit of gold, and they smuggle tons, or they get away with employment, paying people with weird employment benefits and stuff. But they use all sorts of dirty tactics, and that is every industry: Bitcoin, gold, silver, oil. It's all a lie. It's all based on these people who own it are greedy, and the peasants get nothing, and the slaves. Same with the crystals that are dug. It's like,
they're extracted for harm. When a bit like frequencies. If they wanted to set network up for telecoms, they could use it. And if anybody listened to Barry Trower, they could use positive, beneficial, benevolent frequencies that actually make people better from illness, make them more conscious. They could actually utilize these frequencies, like bioresonance frequencies, for instance, or Rife frequencies, for the betterment of humanity. But they choose to use a weapon instead, weaponized frequencies that harm people. Yeah, that harm people, and so
totally. Just make, when you realize that we're actually attacked 24/7 by everything that the system does. There is nothing. Name me one thing that the system does to make you heal and feel better. There's nothing. Absolutely. All it does, it's there to steal, to take as much as they can off you, to make you sick, to make you stressed. There is nothing that the system does, in my opinion, that serves in a light and love way, because it's all about making fear, changing the energy of humanity. So they're always sick and they're always unwell. And one of the reasons, the lowest reason, is because that you're easier to control and that you won't get up in arms and take your picks and start going to the building and, hanging them all.
And going back to what you were saying about, I'll use the NHS. There are a lot of good people within the NHS. We've got people within the NHS that are within our clinic, and so they get trained very well to do certain things, but they're not used. The skills aren't used. They're as traumatized as the patients. A lot of the NHS staff, because of the amount of hours and things they see and things they know that they shouldn't be doing as well. Likewise, the doctors. Imagine being a doctor knowing that you're poisoning people.
Well,
every time you write a prescription,
most of them leave. Yeah. I've known. I would say the ones that don't leave normally are they're so blinded they don't want to know. But the ones that see that are like you and I, of consciousness, they leave and they start up natural health, and nurses. I used to read for loads of nurses. I don't know why, but they all used to come up from Marbella Hospital. So they used to come, like head nurse came to me, and then loads of other nurses and doctors. And I used to read for them because Spanish like tarot readings. So I used to read for them. And one of the things that they used to cry about is the system. And they couldn't change it. They couldn't do anything. They were held back from loving and taking care of them because the system wouldn't allow them to. So they're lying down. They give them some injection, and that's okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about other things that they couldn't do. Like loving and kind and caring. I used to go to hospitals and give healing, and these were normally hospitals like. One in Belgium. I went to a hospital in Belgium for a very wealthy person, one of the most wealthiest people in Belgium. So he had they said he'd got four hours to live. They flew me straight over, and I said to him straight away, don't listen to anybody who's saying you've got 4 hours to live. They know nothing. We're going to get you out of here in no time. So I started the healing, right? And it was overnight. So I did it for 4 nights. I was there 4 nights. And I was giving them healing. There was this nurse walking back and forth all the time, and I could see her watching me. Anyway, I said to her, would you give me a hand? She says, I can't. And I knew she was a healer. I just had that feeling. I know you're a healer and I need your help. And she says, I can't. I said, why not? She says, because I'll get into trouble. And I said, well, what about if you give him a foot bath? She went, oh, that's a great idea. So she ran off and came back again. I'm working on his heart, and she's giving Reiki healing. She was a Reiki healer, and she was giving him healing on his feet. And if any doctor came in, she'd start washing him again. And what I'm trying to say is that, nurses really predominantly are caring and loving. Not all of them, but like any field of work, you get good and bad. You get good.
But not only that, Mark, a lot of these people have been, like I said, traumatized. They're suffering from, imagine how many people cross their path on a daily basis that aren't going to make it, or carrying that around with you, like the film What Were It, Green Mile with John Coffey, where he had to spit all that toxic energy out. People that doesn't happen in real life. People are carrying that around with them.
It's so true, Dom. It's so true. And the breath is so important. When I teach pure energy healing here or online, the breath of life is really something that needs to be known. And we don't breathe properly. And because we're sprayed every day, we struggle to breathe. Just like if we went into a chemical spill, we would naturally not breathe. We'd stop breathe. Our body would know and stop breathing. Well, we're doing that now. So a lot of us are just breathing through our mouth, right? But we should be breathing through our nose and exhaling out of our mouth. And as healers, that's one of the most powerful things that we have to do. When we're healing, we have to breathe through the nose and breathe out of the mouth. And I explain why, because we're intaking their energy and we're breathing it out. So we have to learn to breathe properly. So it's fascinating how what you're saying and what and the Green Mile is so true. It's so true.
Yeah. And most people, I would say, in the chat are healers in their own way.
Everybody's a healer.
Yeah.
Everybody in different ways, though. There's not one person that wouldn't run over to a child if the child falls over and the legs are all scraped and they're screaming, crying. There's not one person. If nobody else was around,
but look how the system's bastardized that, though.
Yeah.
Now you get accused.
That child,
Exactly.
It's deliberate, all by design. You can't touch a child anymore because it's all by design.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, they've done that way, but now there's another level, because there's so many levels. It's like a chess game. The other level is that they want people now to it's okay for your dad to have sex with the child. That's fine. That's only that's loving. That's kind and loving. That's what they're trying to.
Which letters that in LGBTIQ based CIA, FBI?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was all brought in.
Yes, I'm going to play this John Carter video. I've made it a little bit louder.
Brilliant.
For you. So I don't know if anybody listened to the John Carter. I think it's about 5 minutes long, so it's quite long. So we'll have a pause if you saw it, get nipped at the toilet. But we're going to finish soon anyway. We're just going to do an hour, won't we, Mark? Quick fire chat.
Yeah. Really enjoy it, Dom. Thanks for inviting me on.
Anytime, mate.
It's nice to be yourself and just to chat,
Yes, yeah. As much as we can be yourself.
Hopefully people can, for me, I've been doing this for 12 years on YouTube. And I think after 12 years, you probably see through the bullshit. If there is bullshit there, you probably smell it after a while. You can't keep that facade going for too long. So normally you can tell the ones. That's why I struggle a little bit.
Well, somebody put a comment on earlier.
Yeah.
Most of the people are looking for clickbait or
exactly
clicks and subscribers.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've never asked for subscribers. I'm not interested. Never asked for clicks. Not interested. Never asked for likes or anything like that. Not interested in any of that stuff.
The world, the value now is that we have now, by AI, by the system, it's now making us value that more than our family, more than time to talk to our family, more than anything. That is the value now in most children's minds.
There's been some, and it's not hard to find. So the person that's funding APAC, which is the Zionist lobbying group, owns which company, Mark?
They own tons of companies. Most of they're attached to most of media. OnlyFans.
Pornography is funding the war in Gaza.
Right, there you go. Send them all.
Does that tell you anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's watch this John Carter. This John Carter video basically, in a way, is telling us it's telling us what's happening. Really, how they're choosing people to become, like your Tony Blairs, like your leaders, Macrons, Trumps. How they're choosing these people to become basically the devil incarnate, if you like.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
Who are you? American. Who are you, sir? Sir. Definitely the South. The Carolinas? Virginia? It's Virginia, isn't it? Lovely place.
You know it?
Not as well as I should. But I will.
Padua, what's the holdup?
Sorry, sir. The streets are blocked. It's the wedding procession.
Increased strength and agility. Simple matter of gravitation and anatomy, one we ought to have foreseen.
We?
No apparent increase in intelligence. Still, this will not do at all. We can't have Earthmen projecting themselves over here, leaping about, causing all manner of disruption.
You're a Thurn.
Therns are a myth.
Padua, we'll go on foot.
Yes, sir.
My name is Matai Shan, and I do not exist. Indeed, I work very hard at it.
Excuse me.
It's a shame, really. She's a remarkable creature, and she came very close indeed.
You mean the Ninth Ray?
It's of no consequence now. After tonight's ceremony, when the two moons meet and vows are exchanged, she and anyone else with knowledge of the Ninth Ray will be eliminated.
In effect, cutting the head off the beast. Quick, clean, and precise.
Shame there's no one to warn her. The balance must be restored.
What gives you the right to interfere?
Do you care? This is not your home. You have no obligation to these people. You don't have a dog in this fight. Is that how you would say it in Virginia? Man without a cause.
So what is your cause? We have none. We're not haunted by mortality, as you are. We are eternal.
I don't understand. The wedding, this little straw. Why not just kill me, kill Deja?
History will follow the course we have set, Earthman. And we've chosen Sabda to rule next. The Ninth Ray must remain in the hands of mindless brutes we can control. And the infamy of Deja Thoris's wedding death will seal his reign. We've been playing this game since before the birth of this planet, and will continue to do so long after the death of yours. We don't cause the destruction of a world, Captain Carter. We simply manage it. Feed off it, if you like. But on every host planet, it always plays out exactly the same way. Populations rise, societies divide, wars spread. And all the while, the neglected planet slowly fades.
It's, for me, when I saw that, I was blown away by how they show us all the time. And whether it's a guy with a bald head in his suit who changes from, as David Icke says, shape shifts into whatever, and then tells us that, this is a host planet. And on the host planet, wherever they are, it's inevitable that society grows. And when it grows, it separates. And when it separates, then the wars start. And all he's doing is playing the game. And he's managing the wars, and whether it's Bush, whether it's Clinton, whether it's Trump, doesn't matter.
No.
None of it matters. And we should understand that. And people just don't get it. They still vote. They still believe in the system. They still think somebody's coming to save you. Guys, you would not want to save the world because you're not here to save the world. Those that they put in there to save the world know that they're not saving the world. They know that they're going to steal and they're going to take as much as they can. That's the difference.
Yes. Yeah. And that basically there showed you what's possibly happening, because it makes sense. It resonates probably with most of the people listening. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Should we call it a day there?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Sorry for my excitement.
Your excitement? What are you on about?
Yeah, I'm a little bit passionate lately.
Well, that's what you need to be, innit? That's what we are. You know what I mean?
But you just come across so fucking cool. It's unreal.
It's all about that. Sometimes I don't. But here we've all got our own, again, what we were talking about at the beginning. We've all got our own styles, and people do it in different ways. Some people like different styles, don't they? It's not
you're
necessarily...
always like that, Tom. You've always spoken like that ever since I've known you. You've always been cool, even at difficult situations in a nightclub. You've always played it cool. And I just, like, for me, I was more of a happy kid. I was more of a laugher. I mean, you've always been a joker, but lately I'm, it's a toll when you're seeing that people, when you coming to terms with the world and how it is, I think is the most challenging thing in my life.
Yeah, I'm mine as well. Accepting what this is difficult, and we still don't know what it is. I mean, that film there probably told us part way what it was. Exactly. But we still don't know for definite. And that's why when, again, going back to, we've got to see that the controllers are moving chess pieces. Oh, then people are making a bit of an inroad into what we're talking about. Let's make them all fall out.
Yes.
So they create a problem, like I use MailChimp as an example, they're sending out to quite a few people now. Let's just pull the plug on that. Exactly. And they'll do it via other people, and now it's out of their control because AI is making that decision. Now you're part of the community guideline strikes or violating MailChimp's, and it's not a human that you're talking to. It's just happening. They're pulling the plug. You can't have a conversation, and even if you do, you're having a conversation not with a woman in Barclays Bank in 1995, for instance. Yeah. You're having a conversation with some automated system.
AI, absolutely. It's separating us more and more, so we become isolated. They want us isolated so that they can hypnotize us easier and quicker, I think. To a degree, I think when you're on a spiritual path, Dom, you have to be pretty much strong in your own truth, and you've got to walk your own path. If you're always around groups and people like that, you never truly understand who you are. You're always groupthink. So, that's also been infiltrated as well. So when I speak about that, it's like people say to me, oh, you told me that it was a good move to be independent and not to talk to people and be in groups, but now I feel lonely. And like, well, you shouldn't be feeling lonely. You should be happy in your own energy and strong and being comfortable, whether you're in a group or you're not in a group, meaning that you won't get the group change in your mind. Because David Icke once said that if you get a tuning fork at, say, playing at C, if you've got 40 playing at B, C will vibrate at B. The more that vibrate, that frequency, you'll end up vibrating at it. But I say that's not true. I won't vibrate at it.
No.
I am strong enough not to vibrate at it. But I think what he was talking about was NPCs.
Mm.
Now I'm understanding a little bit more.
Well, that is also the all these experiments that were running, like the Ash conformity experiment, where they were drawing lines on a piece of paper, and even though they were saying there were 5 of them in a room, 4 of them would say that's the longest line, when it was quite obviously the shortest line.
Yeah.
The other guy who didn't know that this was an experiment would agree with them.
Yeah.
You know, and they worked out that at least 25%, I think it was, agreed with the wrong answer. They wouldn't actually argue against it.
Yeah, and what about the one where the guy said he was he was pressing? If the guy got it wrong, a question wrong in the other room, he'd press a button and it would give an electric charge, and he'd be screaming in the other room, and he'd be turning to the guy saying, "Oh, he's in pain," and he says, "Don't worry about it, keep doing it," and he kept doing it. It's like
he could have killed. Well, it could have been. How big of a jump is that to? Right, we're going to invent a jab that kills X amount of million people. How big of a jump from that? There's not a big jump, is there?
No. That's actually the proof that people were saying that we think this is dangerous. It's hurting people. You shut up. You take the jab, or else you're a murderer. That's kind of the same. It's this. It was the same psyop, in my opinion, just done in a different way.
Yeah.
Amazing, really, how people fall for anything.
Yeah, well, in all fairness to people, especially NPCs, they're being attacked from so many different directions.
Yeah,
and in my Jane Asher research, in the genealogy side of it, her father was an interesting character, Dr. Richard Asher. He worked at the Central Middlesex Hospital in the psychiatric ward, and he weren't even a psychiatrist, but he worked there running the psychiatric ward. And he was mentored by some interesting characters, and it seems like one of them, Dr. William Sargent, ran the British arm of MKUltra.
Wow.
And he was actually teaching Ewan Cameron, the American arm of MKUltra, and working with Sidney Gottlieb in America. So he was tasked by the British government at the time, or the intelligence services, to run the MKUltra in Britain, and he had a ward at I think it was St Thomas's. It might have been another one in St Thomas's, the hospital where, if you remember Boris Johnson at the height of the first lockdowns in April, he got tested positive, and he went to St Thomas's. That's where they're all. When I do that video and they're all outside clapping and I have the sheep noises, that's St Thomas's Hospital where these experiments were being run. And there's pictures of him when he's come out, when he supposedly got over his intensive care stay. He looks like he's been electrocuted.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying he has.
Oh no,
but it looks like he looks terrified.
He was MKUltra'd.
But his mother died there as well, right? And anyway, this Dr. Sargent ran a ward that was called the sleep room, and he was putting women to sleep for 3 months.
Jesus Christ!
He was electrocuting them, he was drugging them, he was playing messages, basically like Aldous Huxley was talking, under their pillow, voices. These people couldn't remember anything for three months. A lot of famous people and aristocrats came through this ward suffering from so-called mental conditions, i.e. anorexia and things like that, and went on to be actors and actresses and portray themselves in films and stuff like that. Never spoke about it. No,
it runs so deep, it's unreal. The stories that you pick up online and hear. But there is something that I'd mentioned to everybody out there. I don't know. I mean, some people don't even have Netflix, but if you do, there's a series called The Blacklist, and I don't know if any of you guys ever watched Stargate, the original Stargate with Russell. What was he called? I can't remember. Anyway, the main character in it was a kind of like fluffy kind of guy who ended up fancying somebody in Stargate and staying there. He actually plays the lead role in Blacklist, which is kind of funny. And he's an older guy now with a bald head. But if
Kurt
you
Russell, wasn't it? Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. But what was the lead role guy? He's called Red Reddington on the Blacklist.
Right.
Anyway, Red Reddington is basically they call him the I don't know, but anyway, the concierge of crime, they call him, I think. And in the Blacklist, you will absolutely be blown away by all the 40-minute shows they do about all the criminal organizations doing all of the things you're talking about, and everything that we know. It's all on there. Everything is on there to do with poisoning people with cancer, quick cancers into the body, governments and stuff to growing babies in men. It's like phenomenal, honestly.
Cool. All right then, mate. We'll leg it. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's gone quick, an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
I know. In the blink of an eye, Mark. Yeah. People do say, like when we did the live event yesterday, thanks for last 5 years. You've helped us through it, and I don't know what to say to people. But I've got to say, having these chats with people like Mark, mates like Mark, and our kid, it helps us as well. Yeah. It's not just people. This is a healing session for us.
It is,
because you could explode as well. But yeah, it's.
Thanks, Dom. No, I appreciate it. I don't have a punch bag, so.
No. We've got a verbal punch bag.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody soon. See you later. Bye.